Good morning. Welcome to Information Architecture. I hope you had a good long weekend, and I hope the turkey was good. So today we are going to talk about labeling, and the labels, the choice of words that we make for our elements online. So this could be menu navigations, some menus, any language. So there is a heuristics from Jacob Nielsen that talks specifically about the language that we choose. Anybody knows what the heuristic is? Doesn't have to be the exact word, but what is the heuristic that talks about language? Speaks the user language or match between the system and the language or the user. So it's all about wordings and the choice of words. So that is the topic for today. We're gonna have an exercise as well, and we also have a lab. Speaking of labs, didn't have the chance to look at the navigation labs, but today what I might do is, as I create breakouts and you work on groups for the labeling exercise, I may actually go into some of the rooms and then you can be sharing with me what you've done for the labs and I could give you live feedback as well. So I'd like to see if we can do that together as well today. So that is a bit of the plan that we are going to have set. I hope you all had a bit of time to enjoy the weekend. It was pretty, and let's jump into our content at this point. Before I do so, I will share with you the week. So in terms of what you will find for this week, very typical from any other week. This is not what I meant to share. So we are in labeling nomenclature week 6. Next week is week 7. Then we go into reading week. So I have a few readings for you. One of them is a PDF. Donald Spencer about labeling. So it's the practical guide to information architecture. And I'm pretty sure there is something about labeling that talks about in the books as well, in the textbook for this course. And then I have 1, 2, 3 links to labeling. So one of them is information foraging theory. So this theory, we're not going to go into great details, but this theory talks about how do even animals chase for food? How do animals find foods? And how do animals decide that they've searched for long enough and time to give up? Time to leave, time to abandon. So there's a notion of cost. What is the cost and the benefits of the food that they know that they will get? And this is related to having enough energy to be able to procreate and have kids and have a family. So pretty interesting, but it talks about information scent or even scent. So we talk about visual scent. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. But these articles, I think you will enjoy. So you will find these readings, and then I have the lesson slides. What I have also done is I have extracted some information from the lesson slides and put them into Blackboard. So some of the best practices, the order of the menu or the items that you've put on your navigation, things do not do when it comes to labeling, and then a few final tips. Then we have the team exercise, and then we have the lab for labeling this week as well. So the lab for labeling is due on Friday, so this is this Friday, and I will say don't spend too much time on the lab. Try to spend maybe an hour on the lab maximum. It's a short lab, and it's all about labeling. So for this lab, it's individual, and then you'll submit through Blackboard as usual. You'll be searching for examples of things that are just plain badly labeled. So it could be anything. It doesn't have to be digital specific. Let me share the document. It's also available on Blackboard for the lab for this week. I think this is it. This is the one. So we go and let's go beyond digital this week. So find examples of badly labeled. It could be navigation links, badly labeled products, badly labeled signs, you name it. Be creative and fun with this. For instance, you could take a walk outside in your neighborhood to look for examples. When we start paying attention to labels, this is where we really see that there are a lot of examples very close by. Find 5 examples of badly labeled things, and for each example, I want you to take a photo or a screenshot. Write a brief commentary on each example, 1 or 2 sentences maximum. Like, tell me what it is, what you found it, the context around that particular product, and submit all 5 of your examples into one single PDF on Blackboard. And then what you also want to do is you want to tell me why you think it's bad, and is there even a solution? Is there another way that they could have done it as well? So make it fun. Go outside, go for a walk, look around. Go to the grocery store, or even if you live downtown, you take the subway. I'm sure there'll be a lot of examples that you will find of poor labels, and it could also be as you drive, and maybe some blank on some of the billboards that you may find on the highway, or any signages, or anything that you may find in the subway as well, in terms of instructions whatsoever. So think outside the box and think of outside of digital, and I think you'll have fun. So that will be for this week. Hopefully it'll be nice and you'll be able to walk around and then enjoy as you enjoy the weather, that you have something fun for the lab for this week. So that will be the lab for this week. And now we're going to jump in, but are there any questions about the lab or any of the materials so far? Great. So let's go to labeling and nomenclature. The words, the right choice of words really, really matters when it comes to navigation, information architecture, navigation. We spent so much time up to this point to really understand the business needs, whether it's the zoo, whether it's the trainer, and coming up with the best information diagram. And now you've moved beyond, you've gone to navigation. The choice of word is really important. The context also is very important. So I'll give you an example. In some of the submissions that I have seen, so the context is key. And I think some of you and most of you, I teach this class in 2 classes, have said in the cart sorting, a participant felt that they needed to have more context. Well, they're not going to get more context than really when they are by themselves online, right? So the context is important of where those cards are placed and what's around them, and then they build meanings with the words and the other words that are around them. So this is how they build context. But when they were going through the card sorting exercise, they had the same context that they will get when they actually go to a website. They're by themselves, there's little, but what's around them will make a difference. So when I think of Nightwood, some of you have called the main category, or some of the participants, or your final recommendation for Nightwood, anything to do with partners, donation, getting involved and giving back to the community. Some of you chose the word support and as the main label. So unless you change, that's the main label that you want to go for that specific category. So I'm hearing that you're going to have something that says support. So you're going to come to Nightwood, or even the zoo. It could be Nightwood or with the zoo, that you're going to come to the site and you'll see, let's say, buy tickets, about us. And then you're going to have something that will say support. And then you're probably going to have something that will say contact us, support. Support here can mean probably 1 or 2 things, right? So support can mean I need support, help me, customer support. But the other meaning that I think that was intended was also to give and be involved and get involved with Nightwood, or get involved and give money and make donations. So that's the feedback that I gave. It's a bit risky to use support when it comes to donations or giving back. So, and my recommendation was to maybe think if there was a better word that we could use, and to also know that support may be misled with customer support as well. But the choice of words that we make is really, really important. Label matters, and it's so fantastically important that a great structure can fail if the labels are poor. So up to this point, you've spent a lot of time on the groupings and getting users involved and seeing what people thought was related and would go together. And then we've asked them to actually give a name to those set of cards. And then we've tried to stick to what we've learned and what we've heard. But we made choices, right? We've made some changes as we were looking at all the card sorting. So we made changes, but our changes need to be aligned with the users. And then that choice of label, if it's a wrong choice, then it will have a negative impact on your product. So it will impact all the good work that has happened until this point. At the end, the user is going to have a challenge to find the content. He may actually not know what it is and just click to see what it is and then bounce back, or he may just abandon and leave, right? So if the information is far and there are a lot of the information is far, and every time he has to think, the likelihood that he will not find it will increase. So, and we will talk today as well that it doesn't matter sometimes. The number of clicks is not as important as it used to be if the user is actually confident that he's actually going to find the information he's looking for. And that's probably the most important is how confident are they that they will find the information? And as they click, do they actually feel more confident or less confident? What they see is what they see related to what they were expecting. And if not, then there's a chance they will abandon. But if they feel very confident, they will continue. So it doesn't matter how many clicks, but they will continue, and then they will find hopefully what they're looking for, right? So the number of clicks is not as relevant. People will tell you 2 or 3 clicks. We've said it's better to avoid too many clicks because more quickly they will be able to get to the content. The other benefit with breadth and giving more elements is you give more context, right? And then there's a higher the likelihood that they will find what they're looking for is higher than if there's less context. Context here meaning the number of cards available for them. If the language is ambiguous, and we know that sometimes it can be ambiguous, this is why labeling is hard. And the challenge that we have in web and digital, there isn't one nomenclature. There is not one way of calling things. There's not one specific nomenclature. Think of in chemistry, there's nomenclature for the elements. If you think of disciplines, there are nomenclature for disciplines. So arts, sciences, biology, psychology, education, like there is a agreed upon set of rules, nomenclature, or ways of calling and putting things into categories. But when it comes to content that we find on the web, there are some commonalities and some things that are similar that almost have become standards, but there isn't still just one standard that we can say. For all cards that you have contact us and our media and all of that, call it about us. Not everybody will call it about us. There isn't one agreed nomenclature for products. We find products, we see services, we see offerings, we see many things that are kind of related to products, but we have not yet agreed on one set because there are a lot of variations as well in what we see. So it adds even more complexity to what we do, but this is why you're doing this course, right? To be more sensitive. The nomenclature, so what is labeling? What is nomenclature? Nomenclature is devising or choosing of names for things, especially in the science or other discipline. So it's the body or systems of names in a particular field. So the chemical compounds, as I've said. And then formal, the other definition is the term or terms applied to someone or something. Customer was preferred to the original nomenclature passengers. But I would say passenger is very still a typical way of defining customer in the airline industry. But they still say customer, but they use them interchangeably, I would say, like once out of twice, 2 times we're going to say customer, then we're going to switch between customer and passenger. The other thing that you can think about nomenclature is we often think of nomenclature as a way of filing the information. And why do we do this? So it's easier to retrieve, right? Again, we want to retrieve. We want to know do I go and do I know where to go to find it, right? So when people are visiting our website, they haven't had the opportunity to actually save the information to themselves. So there are given pages and they're given an architecture that they have to follow, but you have control on the nomenclature of your inbox. You can decide how you file your emails. You can decide how you file the files into your system. You can decide how you file your files on G Drive. I use some nomenclature when I post documents online. So I will see reading and then the name of the readings. There's also an accessibility here at purpose, but we are using nomenclature to be consistent, and then it's easier for retrieve as well. If you're building trainer, or you work on the zoo, or you work on trainer, if you were responsible of trainer, the website, and you would manage the website, you would have a content management system, CMS. So I don't know if you heard the term of CMS. You would have a CMS to actually allow you to update the content. So on the website. So if you were digital or in charge of the content for trainer, let's pretend that you're building trainer, then you would have content management system to be able to update pages. And one of the pages may be to actually update the section for the trainers. And maybe someone asked you to even update and create a new trainer online. So, or maybe there's a new product that you're offering, or maybe there's a new discipline, there's a new activity. You did not used to have yoga, now you do yoga. So you want to create a page for yoga. The chances are you're going to have a nomenclature for that page. You're going to have a nomenclature for the tree, the architecture of your filing system. So maybe you're going to have something that will say products. And then you're going to have product/yoga, product/meditation, product/something. So you are coming up with nomenclature. It's consistent and easier to find. And there's also the notion of migrating. So let's say that you need to migrate content. It's easier when things are all called the same, because you can actually say, give me all files that start with products. And then you get all the files that start with product, and then you do something with them. So, but at the end of the day, I would say nomenclature is maybe more of agreeing on a set of rules when it comes to naming, or say when it comes to filing, where labeling is really just the choice of labels that you will use, and you obviously use label for nomenclature. The rule is to also avoid from using codes, but use words, right? So when you do nomenclature, if you say, all files, we're gonna start with the product name, so products, and then /yoga, and maybe the year as well, 2021. But if you say we're gonna use a code 002, that means not active, or 0025 active, so, or hasn't launched yet. I would stay away from coding, because when you use coding, it means it has to be taught somewhere. You need to explain to someone what the code is as well. So let's carry on unplanned. So if you see all the items on the left seem to be all very random, all the items to the right-hand side in terms of labeling or even nomenclature are planned, right? Strategic and planned. So, and interesting enough, if you go to Humber and you look at programs, our programs will probably all fall very similarly in this, right? So anything to the left is probably falling to one of the categories. But then to the right, you can go to any schools, you can go to any library or any books, and you will start finding books or content that will actually fit probably the category that we see. So it has become more of a standard. It's planned. It takes time to plan, and then let's continue labeling and sent, not laundry sent. Now, some people, that would be interesting. Some people have different ways of sorting, right? Sorting their basket when they actually do the laundry. We're told you put color together, you put white together. Some people put all underwear and socks together. People will put towels. So we all have different ways of organizing these items. And I will say that's almost a nomenclature. But the information set and the information set of information. So I've mentioned set of information many times. How confident a user is that they are on the right path to the information that they need. And that's really, really key. And I've mentioned information sent when we were discussing the fact that 50% and more of people will come to your site, they will come to a landing page, to an inside page. So they'll be on the L2 or L3 or L4 page. because they Google search, right? So they will pay attention to what's around the page and what the options are. So they will look at the navigation, they'll look at the breadcrumbs, they'll look at where am I, where can I go, and where have I been. So they're building sense of the information in this site. And this is, as I said, the information foraging theory goes in more details. It is, again, it's how do people use the find the information, and it talks a lot about the animals, and the animals are hunting for food. The number of clicks, it's not the major criteria. And scent, am I confident I will find it? Am I confident that I'm actually on the right track as well? So if the set of information is sufficiently pungent, people are generally convinced that they're looking at the right place. If that place doesn't contain what they want, they're likely to conclude that the site doesn't offer it at all, and they will abandon, right? So the label of information, the scent, the label and words will give them clues to the path. They provide scent, inappropriate or misleading labels are worse than none at all as well. That will confuse them, and they're probably going to leave and never come back again. So in terms of best practices, and those are repeated on the lesson slide on Blackboard. So we have to speak the user language. Obviously, we want to match, the system has to match between the user. So knowing the user and who they are and what they care about is really, really important. And this is what we've learned in cart sorting. Consistent tone and tense, avoid being ambiguous, use existing label convention where you can. So you're going to see home, submit, login, about us, contact us, help, FAQs. So these are super standard. Checkout, sign in, login, or sign in, login, sign up, or it can't, my account, it can't, like there's still not a one agreed, right? Standard. But don't revamp the wheel. Look at what people have done. Don't replicate a company structure or org chart. So we've seen sites that are designed around the company and how they think about themselves. Air Miles is one of them. I say Metro with their Metro Online and Metro Corporate. Like this is, they know it, but it makes sense to the business. And they probably have a team that only looks at Metro Online. They probably have a team that looks at Metro Corporate. And that's how they're structured. And they know that one doesn't touch the other side, but the user doesn't. And those are issues, especially on Metro. People are not even able to, they can't find products because you're still on the Metro corporate side. Avoid marketing jargon and tech jargon at all costs. So don't try to be cute or clever. We see that very often. Test your labels with users. Cart sorting is one method. There is a site that we were looking at, and I think this is a different class, class that we were looking at. Let me just show you. Has anyone has been to H&M website lately? Here, let me show you a label that is super confusing. I'm not going to say it. Can someone see a label that is very, very unconventional or unclear on the main navigation? So on the main navigation, by now, main navigation should mean something to you. Yes, divided. What the hell is divided? So woman divided and men. What is divided? Yes, and again, I don't know. So Lillian, are you a customer of H&M?
Not often, but they have a line that's called Divided, and I think that's why I was saying only people who shop there would know, which I could see it's confusing.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny because the other class, they were like, oh, it's a brand, it's their product brand. And then no one's been clearly clear on what it was. And, but yes, so and it's a brand. But me, I think it's people that are in between. They don't identify themselves as woman or man. They're divided, neutral, gender. Like, I don't know. I just don't know what they're trying to do. So, and I think here the placement also is making me think divided means something that is absolutely not what it is. But anyway, at the end, I'm thinking it makes me think a lot, right? So, super, super important. And I honestly don't know what the answer is. But I think this is not the good solution. But I don't know what the answer is to divided. for someone who doesn't know their brand, I don't know, but I'm sure there's a better solution. So this could be a good example of a site or an example of something that uh, you could find for your lab. There's another term here, H&M rewear. So I don't know if this is giving back my clothes, my H&M clothes to as not new clothes. So I forgot what the name is, but is that what it is? Again, there's a bit of ambiguity, right? H&M home. So H&M home, I could think of home, 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 but that's, I would say now, I have a feeling that it's H&M home products. But again, in the context of a website, it's always tricky to say home. And it's very close to the logo too. So perhaps what I would do, maybe from a placement, I would actually do something divided in H&M home. Maybe I would should move them to the right. I would keep women, men, and baby and kids together. I wouldn't put a divider. It's almost like it's acting like a divider. And maybe H&M home products or something. Or I would say home products. I don't know that I need to say home. I would probably just say home products. Sales, sustainability, H&M, rewear. So rewear is probably giving giving my clothes so someone else can take advantage. Expand the lifestyle of your clothing. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so avoid technical terms. Test your labels with users, but I would even say you can test labels with colleagues. Yes, we're too close to a product, but sometimes it's good to have someone to run by your labels, and you may actually say, "This is I'm redesigning my website. These are labels I can come up with. Tell me what you think they mean." Right? You could do that. Tell me what they mean, and divide it. You will know if one is causing challenges, and divided will probably be one of them. Then listen to really the choice of words that they use. They will say things that may actually be a better way of saying what you wanted to say when you said divided, and also the same thing with HMM rewear as well. So there's more tips coming. And I will say often the best thing to do is call things what they are, right? So don't try to be cute. Don't try to invent. Don't try to be creative. It could actually really hurt you as well in the end. So let me share my slide. Okay, so one of the rules is to be descriptive of what the products are. So I don't know, and I'm using the PowerPoint from Sarah as well. Like Sarah has taught this class, so these are examples that she's found. Navco, generic navigation common to hundreds of millions of website product services about blog. Okay, so perhaps this below its compasses, chronometers, charts, and map. So I think what the critique was, why not really just put your products, right? But we don't know how many products they have. So that's maybe the challenge. But if they primarily have compasses, chronometers, and charts and maps, then why not just list these things, right, on your navigation? You avoid a click, you give more visual sense, and you also show what you sell, right? And then you have your about, blog, and contact almost as a secondary navigation. So you're using descriptions of what it is that you sell. So you're saying we're selling, and I suppose of product and services. And that includes relevance to both search engine and visitor. So that's the other thing is, and I've mentioned it maybe not as much in this class, but Google really pays attention to the choices that you make on your navigation. And what you put on your navigation, Google will give them more importance for search engines. So that means if you're a Navco and you have an item called compasses on your main navigation, Google will say Navco sells compasses, and it's probably their primary business. It's very important because it's on the main navigation. And when I click on it, they will say, is it really compasses? Of course it should, but sometimes some sites are trying to cheat. And then if Google sees that compasses is really a list of compasses, and people actually stay on the site and they actually buy compasses, Google will say it's a good experience, so he'll give more points to Navco. And then when people go to Google and they search on compasses, he will actually show Navco because Navco has met the criteria that Google is interested in. So the choice that you make on your navigation will influence Google when Google goes through your site, and Google understand your site is about selling compasses, chronometers, and charts and maps as well. So very important. So this is a good example of when you can't list, then just can't. You're just being more descriptive. Consistency, tone, tense, and voices. So let's look at this item from Post Canada. So we may as well just look at navigation, right? So we have our top navigation where we have a logo, personal, business, our company, my account, tools, search. And then support, about us, shop français, sign in, personal product. And then they have in the red bar, find a postal code, find a rate, find a post office, forward email, e-post. I would say that that's pretty consistent. And then find a postal code, find a rate. So it's descriptive, I think, and I say that it's also very informative. And it's probably based on what people do more often as well. So in terms of findability, they've made a conscious decision of showing these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items in the red bar, and they're using words that are really descriptive. So instead of just saying postal code, they're saying find a postal code. Instead of saying rate, they're saying find a rate, find a post office, as opposed to just say post office, right? So action verb as well. And I will say it's very consistent. Consistency breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds content, contentment. Peter Morgan, this is from the book. So we have some other example from National Post. News full comment. So I say new full comment. I don't really know what full comment means, but sports, culture, life, more. Again, what to find on the more is a bit of a mystery, but jobs, classified, consistent. I will say, Bell, how can we help you with your services today? So shop and support, my Bell, mobility, TV, internet, understanding your bill, paying your bill. So I think they're using descriptive words, and I think they're pretty consistent throughout their page too. And then I will say avoid ambiguity. So I think in this example that we have proficient, and they have this item called solution and services, and then they have the other one called products. So when you think solutions and services and products, how are they different? I say they're very similar, right? Your products or your solutions and services, solutions. I will say service solutions, particularly solutions and products, I think are too close, too similar. I would rethink the choice of solutions and services, partner and products, and I find them ambiguous. Speaks the user language. Okay, so wow, Nickelodeon. I've never heard of this site, but there is a navigation, and they only use icons. So if you feel like you want to explore and find out more, it looks like it's one that Sarah spent some time on, probably because there's some big issues too on it. Bolts Plus. Okay, so home, flyers, location, contact Bolts Plus, shop online. I think these elements speak our language. I will say personally, but again, I'm not the user. But and then we have our search bar, login, chart, search, and we see items, bolts. And if you're looking for these items, the chances are you know what they are. Seems to be consistent, speaks the user language with BuzzFeed, quizzes, TV, movies, shopping, video, news, tasty. LOL win, sign in LOL win, and these arrows though, I don't know what really they mean. So I think they're trying to be cute, but they make me think. So I don't know what they mean. Temple University, admissions, academic, life at Temple, research, athletics, about, live, discover, learn. Okay, so yeah, discover, learn. What is the difference between discover and learn? Research, think globally, live. What is Queen's University live? Live cam? I don't know. So definitely these discover and learn, I would say. They probably have a lot of good content. I would definitely rethink those labels. And these are like entry points. It's like Air Canada. Did we look at Air Canada together in this class, or is it with another class? Air Canada has made a lot of changes to their main navigation as well. Let's just look at Air Canada quickly. And I will tell you, Air Canada does not have UX. So they're not strong when it comes to UX. And everybody's very opinionated at Air Canada, and they all own each of their section. They decide, so there's no holistic view, and you can tell. So they've made changes a little while ago to their navigation, domain navigation. So book, plan, fly, book. And when I go book and I roll over book, I see book a travel. And then one of them is flight, fine. So I want to book. So if I want to book, I think book is probably the term as a user that it will probably relate to. Plan though, what is planning? Book or plan? What is planning? And fly, what is flying? Fly, I want to fly. So I want to fly too. Do I go fly? Like entry points, and those are like so critical. And fly is in preparation. So it's anything to do with your travel info. It's your flight, your travel flight. So if you look at the items below, flight information, on board, what's on board, customer support, your premium service at the airport services. So I almost find that some of these items could actually maybe end up being items on the main navigation. So they already have a customer support. Why do I go to fly for customer support? They have a main element. They're repeating, fine, we can repeat, but it's really ambiguous. Fly is really not a good term. And there's a lot of good content. And all of the content that is on the fly is about your flight information, which means if you don't find it, then you're probably going to call Air Canada, and it's going to cost money to support, and it's going to congestion the phone line, and it's already very the time to wait for someone to speak with someone is already very long because of COVID. So it's really not helping the situation. Bad choices, really bad choices. And sign in. Why do we have sign in on the main at this level? I would just move sign in to the top, give me more rooms, and then I would definitely rethink planning and flying. And planning again, it's your baggage. So plan and fly are very similar. Do you see look at the nature of content on the plan and on the fly? Plan, your baggage information, your check-in information, your travel requirements. It's all flying related. Your flight information, your on board, your customer support. Plan and flight are the same. They have the same type of content. I would rethink. So another good example of bad choices. Avoiding ambiguity. So the millions for humanity. What is it's a long acronym. Members, what can I do? Library, what can I do to help, to be involved, get involved? Library, about us. And I would say, what can I do seems to be a term that I don't know that speaks well. Maybe it's get involved, and to be involved or volunteering as well, like our Nightwood, that I would probably say that there's a better choice that we could do. The best friends animal society, avoid jargon, the sanctuary. So what is the sanctuary in this? So our no-kill mission, our no-kill mission. Oh, let me share my screen. Sorry, Blackboard. So the Best Friends Animal Society, we have the sanctuary. What is the sanctuary? Our no-kill mission, they could have said our mission, and I think it will be sufficient, but I think they want to say our no-kill mission. Like, we're not here to kill animals, we're here to protect. What we do, great, get involved. So I think get involved is the what can I do from the previous side. The sanctuary, adopt a pet, donate today, which is a better term than using support, because we know that support can be misled with customer support as well, providing customer support. So I have a lot of examples in a deck that you can all review, and then here's some of the standards that you will see online. My main page, home, search, find. sitemap, contents, table of contents, contact us, help FAQ, uh, news and events, announcements. You probably just need one of them. About us. So main, pick one. I would say home. Search, if it's really the search, you don't need to say browse. People know that it's to browse. It's like click hyperlinks. We don't need to say click here anymore. They know hyperlinks. But in the 80s or the 90s, we had click here. But you still have people that use click here, and it's terrible. Click here is terrible. It's actually very bad for search engines, too. You get penalized. Sitemap, you use one. Contact or contact us. I think contact us is probably a better one. About us is probably about a better one as well. It's not about our product. It's about us as a company. And if about is next to the products, you may think about the products. Like they're just ambiguity and make me think. So these are terms and sentences that we have seen. The order. So in terms of what order do you put the items in, you have multiple ways that you can order. So you can try to follow a logical order if you want. Your logical order, let's say that you are air miles and you want to do a logical order of your items on your main navigation. One way to maybe define the order is your customer lifecycle order. So let me just do a whiteboard. So, and some of you have said, I would use the order that we've used for information architecture for, let's say, Nightwood, is based on the customer lifecycle. So perhaps your main items, before you have decided, so let's say that we are the zoo, right? So maybe you want to have, you say that you're going to go from the customer lifecycle. So consider stage to buy to post-purchase. So you could say this is going to be the order that we're going to follow of our items on the navigation. So you could say, and I'm just making it up, learn about the zoo. Let's say you have a label that says learn about the zoo. And maybe now you're going to have tickets. And then maybe once they bought tickets, then you're going to have how to get to the zoo. Long labels, but I'm not trying to come up with the best label, but I'm trying to show you the order, how to get to the zoo. Right, so you're kind of like educating. So you educate, you're buying, and now you're giving them directions. That could be one way, right? And then you say, I'm going to have these, here I'm going to have FAQ, and maybe I'm going to have contact us. I may want to contact at any point, but you decide on an order of convince me to buy your tickets, and then how to get to the tickets, and maybe and I think how to get to the zoo. And this is where we had our restaurants, our facilities as well. Like speaking about the zoo once you've decided to go to the zoo and you know you're going to go to the zoo, right? So that is one way. There could be multiple other ways that you want, and then some of you may say, I'm going to use about us because someone doesn't know me. I want them to know me. Then maybe you want to donate a very important element, and maybe it's about tickets. And maybe then I'm going to have getting to the zoo after I have tickets, right? As another way of doing. And then you can do something similar with Nightwood. Rarely on a main navigation or your choice, you will have them in alphabetical order, right? Anyway, it would make little sense to have, if you have 6 or 7, to try to make them in alphabetical order. Rarely do people look for alphabetical order when it comes to main navigation. They will look for something that actually is resonating, or that the keywords, they'd be looking at keywords that are important to them. So the order of business, what is a priority for you or even for the user? Also what the user will do on a regular basis. But mind you, they don't buy tickets all the time. But tickets is what the zoo makes money on. Tickets is what the theater makes money on. You, for trainer, the trainers and booking a session is what you make money on, right? So booking sessions, finding a trainer, finding the what we do as a business is important. Yes, Lillian, you have a question.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify. So you said it's best if we label things in alphabetical order, but then what if we're also trying to meet the business needs and things may need to be arranged according to that, and it doesn't fall in
I
line with.
sorry if you heard that I said it's better to put them in alphabetical order?
I think I misheard that part because I heard you saying it's better to
Yeah,
follow it, or I could have, yeah.
yeah, no, I was saying rarely, like you're not often going to see a site that is listed in alphabetical order on the main menu. It's really it's hard to achieve. So though it's not suggested because um, often you don't have a lot of items, right? So yes, absolutely go with the business and the user or priorities. You should go with the business and the user priorities. So yes, no, it's I don't know where it would be relevant to actually list them in alphabetical order. So we learned about latch on I think week one, but it's on the main navigation or even on any of your navigation. It's you're not going to be able to use alphabetical order for most of the items. So your business needs and the user needs is really important. And you can also use the customer's life stages as well. And Air Canada was doing a little bit of the customer stages, right? They're saying book, and then they have plan and fly, which is terrible. They used to have called travel info, and that was for someone who was booked, right? And then they have customer support. So they have a bit of consider and then post. And this is also post, right? Purchase. So they're following this order of buy when I'm bought, then this is relevant when I have a ticket. This is relevant when I'm a customer. And then this is anything to do before being a customer, right? So they kind of follow a bit of that order as well. Or they may also follow standards, but the standards, I don't know that there's too many standards in the order, except that, and this is what the directions that I gave you is, so let's say you have your logo. Try to keep this area to your products, right? What is unique to you, your products? And then here, things that are non-specific, right? So your maybe your login, your search, or your little heart. But here you'll have your woman, your man, your kids, your sales, what you do, and you don't have to have a line, but think of that, right? And then if you can even display your product, list the product, it's even better. Now, me personally, what I think is, why do e-commerce sites today, why don't they have a choice here at the top for men, women, kids? And then when I select it, then this goes and these products then are adapted to this, right? Then I can list a lot of products. Why use this space, all of this space? I would move it to, and when it's set, then it's set like your store location. Make use of more items to give more sense on your navigation. I don't know why none of them have done that yet. The data will tell you how often does someone switch from man to man, woman, unless you're family. But even then, to me, it's a filter. It's a thing that you set once. So again, the more we can show, the more I can see and I can build scent. And every time that you have an item here, you really increase the percentage of clicks or visits on that items. Um, I've seen that all the time. Every time that I've did more elements. Sometimes alphabetical, but rarely. And the first and the last elements on the navigation are the most visible, and that came from research. So let me share again. So the first and last items that are on the navigation are the most visible. Well, because there's nothing really around them, right? And then in the middle you have a lot of noise. How do you put your eyes on the middle item? But the beginning and the last are what people will see as well the most. So then that means your first and last item on your navigation will be more noticed. So perhaps you may want to put your last item in your navigation as a very important item too. But again, there's no one recipe, okay? But the research says the first and last are most often seen. But you could do A/B testing. So I think I have mentioned. But when it comes to labeling, this is even more critical. Labeling is a very, very good candidate to do A/B testing, right? So, and I will say you should have A/B testing running on your site. It's real time. And A/B labeling is a really, really easy kind of test to do, and you will get a lot of information about if there's a better label or not. Also, you can play with placement. You can change the placement of some of your menu navigation elements on your navigation and see if it has an effect on clicks and also on purchases as well. So, and that you will get real time in the tool, in an A/B testing tool. You will get real time, and it's there's no debate. It's what people do, it's what people see, and it's real customer that are coming to your site to look at your product or find your product. You're not asking them; it's behavioral. It's based on what they do. So, label is. I've done a lot of testing on labeling when I was at Rogers, and I will say Sunwing too, and Flight Center. So yeah, I was doing a lot. Well, at Rogers, that's all I did for 2 years, A/B testing, and so we did about 500 tests, and then you build knowledge and you become better at it too, and you remember what certain things worked well and what you've learned, so you don't have to redo again. So what do we have in this particular subscribe latest issue scientific card. Okay, so perhaps the order. This is a Scientific American magazine, so I can subscribe. They have subscribed as one of their first, the latest issues. So these are the latest issues from the magazine. They have the logo in the middle, and they have cart sign in stand for what I said, not space product specific to the right? And then they have the navigation, the science, the mind, health, tech, sustainability, education, video, podcast, blog, publications. So maybe the science is their top product. Maybe the mind is the second, maybe the health is the third, maybe the tech. But the science and publication, you see, like when you even look at this navigation, these are the two items that you see. And if you do eye tracking, it's probably how you also know that people will glance more at science and publication. And really, it's like they both really stand out, right? These two last items stand out very easily on screen. So the final consideration, don't and just don't, and I've listed them on Blackboard as well so that you don't have to go through the deck ever if you want. Don't use jargon, don't use marketees, and you're often going to see marketings are trying that too many times. So in your search for your lab today or this week, try to look go to creative agencies, go to agencies, or go to Procter and Gamble, go through these products and go to Starbucks, and you're going to find a lot of marketees or examples of bad use of terms that people don't understand. Avoid a company. Don't be clever. Avoid use that have multiple meanings like support, right? Yeah, I know, Elizabeth. I actually had to Google it too, what marketees was, and I thought maybe we forgot an A for like teasing. Uh, and again, I've borrowed Sarah's information from her deck. She did such a good job when she also taught labeling specifically. The marketees is a real term, and it's marketees is just a term. It's a marketing. It's marketing. It's a lingo within in market. You see, we don't know what marketees is, right? So it's a good example of a jargon. It's a term that marketers will use. That it's marketing specific to promote products and communicate something about their products. That's what it is. But I'm just like you. I had to Google what marketees and to see if there was a spelling or a spello in it. Do not use a label that will actually match what your company, your art chart, because you know it, but consumer don't be clever. Use words that avoid multiple meanings. Avoid words that can be offensive. So cultural dimensions. Certain words are not acceptable in other countries or vice versa. So we have to be sensitive. Also, uh, our choice of words understood uh, by everybody, or even a choice of icons that we make, uh, and iconics is a different topic, but still relevant. Sometimes you're gonna have icons with a text on it, right? We use the little heart for likes. Maybe the little heart is not everywhere, but we know Instagram is using it, and it's probably pretty understood. Anything ambiguous, so product versus services. Really, products and services, what is the difference? When you're looking for a partner for a trainer, or you're looking for a partner for like a B2B solutions, products, services, they all seem to be the same, right? So it's more it's trying to answer the question, what do you do? What do you offer? And then don't make me think. So again, the same rule applies. From the moment that we don't know what something means, it's time to re-go and rethink and involve some people and do some tests. You can do some very quick informal tests to with your people. A final few tips: carefully edit and audit your labels. So you're gonna have a chance in this week to rethink your if some of the labels that perhaps you're not 100% sure. If you want, this could be a good opportunity to redo that as well. So you can rethink about some of the labels for your navigation. Your navigation assignment. I think we have an assignment due for Monday of next week. I think that's our milestone, probably number 2. So you can rethink, you can think about your choice of labels. That's perfectly fine. We're still in design. Establish naming convention and be consistent in their use. Consider using control vocabulary to maintain, so almost like a nomenclature. And that's really important if you are going to design a site and you're going to maintain a site, you're going to be adding more product to your site. That becomes like, sometimes we'll say governance, right? So in some companies, you may have governance of terms, tone, consistency, voice, choice of words. That is a bit of the same, some form of governance. Uh, and then always test with user. Do your cart sorting, but you may not be able to do cart sorting. So you may need to do other type of testing, showing labels as well. But again, A/B testing, I would say A/B testing is definitely a good way that you can test and optimize your labels all the time. Look at your competition, look at what they do, but look at your analytics as well. Look at your bounce rate. So they may be clicking on a term, but maybe it's because they don't know what it is and they're just curious. But if the bounce rate, and if the bounce rate is high, like 40, 50, 60, 70, that's a sign that it's not at all what they were looking for. So check your analytics and then also look at what people are searching and typing. And call listening. If you can do call listening, this is how you hear a lot about the words that people are choosing and using as well. Very important. So divided, we've said divided is a term for H&M because it's a product line, but perhaps they need to say product, divided product, or divided product, or something, right? We don't know what it is, especially it's between men and women. So we think it's something to do with gender. Designed for growth and flexibility and scalability as well, so that you can add more items. And this is now where we're going to go and do the exercise in Teams. Are there any questions about labeling and labels? So this, I've been teaching IA, information architecture. It's hard. We've been talking about labelings, but we haven't necessarily had a week just to look at labels. But we've been talking about labelings, and this is the third time, well, fourth time now I teach this course at Humber. But with the design, with the people that are in the design program, we actually have a lecture that talks about labelings. This is an example where you are getting something a little bit more in depth and more unique than the people that are doing the certificates, let's say in UX. We don't have a dedicated lecture for just about labeling. We just talked about it in with everything else. So in Blackboards, I have repeated all the key items that I said. I've extracted some of the slides so that you have a quick reference. to what to do, the best practice, what to do, don't, and the final few tips. And then now in the team exercise, what you're going to do is you're going to work in teams so you can do your regular teams, the teams that you're always with. And then find 3 different websites that have an issue with labeling. So we've already seen some. This might be a specific label being used or an overall problem with that that impacts multiple labels. And then I have created a Miro board where you can actually post by your team your 3 site your findings. So the name of the site, the URL, the description of the problem and why it's a problem, and what do you think the label should be? You can work in teams of up to 2 to 3, but each have to post individually into the forum and include the names of the team at the top of the post. Thanks. So I have shared. You can click on the link, and then I can see that you're already there. So I'm going to create the breakout so you can work in teams. Now, what I will do as well at some point is perhaps I will visit and then I like to give feedback on the navigation lab. I haven't had a chance to look at the lab yet, but I was thinking I could give some feedback on the Blackboard in the breakouts as well as part of this class. So we're done with the lecture today. So what's left for today is the team exercise. You have a lab that is due for Friday on labeling. Very simple, go for a walk and then find bad labels. And then I can give feedback on navigation in breakouts as well, if you would like. So that's the plan. So it's 11:47. The class goes until 12:30. So we have about 16 people. I will open breakouts, and you'll be able to go to your rooms. You're randomly assigned, and you can move and switch, and I will come and visit.